Installing traditional snow stakes is time-consuming, expensive, and downright dangerous. Traditional fiberglass stakes cost as much as double, take twice as long to install, not to mention fiberglass splinters. That's where Plow-Rite marking stakes come in. Our patented installation tool and carrying pack make snow stake installation a breeze, installing up to 450 stakes an hour. Want the fastest and best snow stake system on the market? Look no further than Plow-Rite marking stakes. Our stakes are made of hollow polypropylene, which will not crack, break, or splinter like traditional fiberglass stakes. 3 size options, 26, 36, and 46 inches, and 5 standard colors, orange, green, blue, red, and hot pink. Want more visibility than our standard stakes? Look no further than our reflective stakes, which sport a 2-inch 3M reflective band that is the highest grade reflective material ever put on a snow stake. Truly let your stakes be seen. Visit plow-rite.com and order yours today. And make sure to use Brian's 10 to save 10% at checkout. The link is in the podcast description. And best of all, everything is 100% made in the USA.
You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no-nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It is your host, Brian Fullerton here, hanging with you guys. Good morning. How are you doing, babe?
Great.
Great.
So good. I got to sleep in an extra 20 minutes this morning.
Why is that?
You took both children.
I took both children?
Mm-hmm.
And actually did like the good fatherly dad thing and spent time with your kids in the morning. So you get a couple extra hours or hours, 20, 30 minutes. Feels like hours.
20 minutes does feel like hours right now. So I'll take it.
What are we going to talk about on today's podcast?
We are talking about how things are just kind of different this year in the way we approach the business, and kind of a different, not philosophy necessarily, but the way that we structured it has been completely different than any other season we've done in the past.
We are trying to work a little bit more on the business and not in the business.
Right.
In fact, I will tell you guys, candidly, honestly, I don't think I worked more than 6 days in the field this entire year. And I think that might even be a stretch. I say 6 like, it should be 7, but at the same point, I honestly don't even know if it was more than 5, which I'm really, really excited about for somebody who's trying to transition to running the company as we try to build the company, expand the company, shift gears with what I need to be doing in the company. It has been a very interesting transition kind of a year. Just to take it back a little while ago, I think it was let's get a little bit of context. What I want to talk about was some key lessons or takeaways that I learned from trying to operate our business this way this year. And for any of you guys listening in and maybe newer to the show, we run a lawn and landscape business up here in Wixom, Novi, Michigan, about 40 minutes west of Detroit, Michigan in the burbs. I've been doing this for 17 years. I have a whole story that another podcast for another time. You can listen to episode 1. But really, we were a owner-operator lawn and landscaping company. I was in the field. It was just me and a guy. We hired one of our first full-time guys, Rob, back in 18, Liz? 18 or 19?
Gosh, has it been that long?
He's been with us 5. He'll be 6 years in March.
It was...
Feels like it was yesterday.
2020, maybe.
No, dude, it was like 2017, 2018. Because he's like, I got 6 years in March. I'm like, are you for real?
Holy cow.
I know. So that puts his timestamp 2016, 2017. And Rob's almost been there since the whole like Brian's Lawn Maintenance 2.0 or 3.0, whatever you want to call it these days. So along the way, something happened that we never expected, we weren't trying to do, is we grew a YouTube channel that turned into a social media thing. We have an Instagram, a podcast, a YouTube channel, a second YouTube channel, training programs, the whole deal, that it has turned into a business that we call Motivated Media. It's a media company, if you will, does a couple $100,000 in revenue, and it's a really, really interesting kind of a thing with all the affiliates and sponsors and brand deals and all this crap. And I'm pretty open about like that. Like we've started to make a little bit of money with our social media. Well, We never intended that. We never thought that. That was never a thing. We didn't get started for any of that. I literally made one video. Lamont Harrison, one of my lawn bros, sent me a video the other day of 2016, my very first video.
Oh no.
Yeah, just like text message. He goes, bro, we've all come so far. And I'm like, I don't know how to take that, but dude, you're right. Like, we've all come so far. We all, everybody listening in, we've all matured the last 4, 5, 7, 8 years that we've all been doing this. And maybe you guys are just getting started in business, and you're learning from some of my mistakes and some of the other guests that we've had on, their successes and their failures. What happened along the way, though, was the media company started to grow. It started to take time and energy. And interestingly enough, I always say the more it grew, the more time we put into it. The more time we put into it, the more it grew, right? And so we've really been heavily focused on that the last, what would you say, 5 or 6 years, because we needed to get systems in place and editors in place, and our finances started to grow, and we were upgrading our lifestyle a little bit, just newer trucks or newer this, and then we our big focus was building a home. We're in our mid 30s. For me, I'm 37. Liz is not, and we
I am younger.
You are younger, and we wanted to. We didn't get that first starter home because we were broke. We were poor. We were 30. And Liz was 26. We were living in an apartment. And we never had any money. So we've really been trying to reinvest as much as we can from the media company, reinvest as much as we can with Brian's Lawn Maintenance. Along the way, we have been growing Brian's Lawn Maintenance too. That's the cool thing. Now, maybe not leaps and bounds like some of you guys growing, $500,000 to $1 million to $3 million in 3 or 4 years, like my friend Sam with Etch Outdoor. But what we have been doing is we have been growing Brian's Lawn Maintenance 50 to 70 grand a year over year for about 4 or 5 years straight. And this year we're doing around 350. We'll be a little shy of the goal that I had of wanting to run about 400. But the business is growing, and that's also required me to, and anybody who grows over 100, 150 grand a year in revenue, you realize like you can't do it all. You need guys, right? So parallel paths. We're growing this media company. It's taking a lot of time and energy. I would say we rock it like 5-10 hours a week, but really it's been a 40-50 hour a week commitment for about 5 years.
What are you talking about?
The actual physical work into it's about 10 to 15 hours, which is ironic, but it's like to grow this thing and to stay focused and study things and research things, it's a full-time job.
The emails alone.
It's a lot. And then the lawn care company is growing. I hire somebody, we add some work, we get some key accounts, we get some key phone calls, and I'm like, we should definitely take that on. The company's growing 50 grand a year over year. We've hired one guy, then another guy, then a third guy, then almost a fourth full-time position now. Part-time kid this year, but possibly a full-time position for him or whoever replaces him next year. So we've had to like really make a decision. Do we want to work in the company or work on the company, right? Do we want to be on the mower and on the trimmer? Do we want to be the ones editing the videos, editing the podcasts, or do we want to have 2 businesses? Do we want to have the ability to grow both companies and kind of step back and step out?
It's really hard. I think I watched you go through it firsthand. Like when you go from owner operator to then like starting to run like baby crews, basically.
Oh yeah, we had 2 babies by the way too. Baby crew.
Well, they didn't, not this baby crew. But
Yeah.
Our little we have almost 4 guys out there now, and like you're not necessarily on the mower. Like, was that hard for you? Because this was like your baby.
Well,
like your business was your baby. Like you were the mower guy. Like you did like this.
Every lawn, everybody knew me.
And that was hard for our customers because they had seen you for 10 plus years every day. Brian was
13, 14-ish years,
week
really.
or whatever. They were seeing Brian, and now all of a sudden Brian wasn't in the field anymore, and it was kind of like, what's going on?
We transitioned from 130 customers, 30 or 40 of them were residential. We had 22 customers over in another area town 25 minutes away. We shed the trailer park customers. We shed that route, which was a one-day route, 20 minutes away. Now we have 5. We had 5 full days back in our route, and then we consolidated again. Got rid of a day. Now we have 4 10-hour days, 4 full-day mow crews going out to mow. So we've transitioned accounts. We've let go of accounts. There's accounts that we've had since the very beginning that like just didn't fit the portfolio. And I'm like, dude, everything is so fluid right now. Like we rehomed our cat because it didn't fit our lifestyle. No, I'm just kidding. That's funny. That's true. That was years in the making. But everything has been fluid right now. Do you miss him? We miss him. Do you miss our cat?
Yeah.
Do you check in with the lady that took him?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of things have changed over the last couple of years. We have a dog. Anybody wants our dog too? Just to be fair.
Everybody's on the chopping block, apparently.
Other than the kids and the wife.
I mean, you better get your crap together.
Well, that's what we said. It was one shot across the bow. I said once the cat is gone, the dog's like, am I next? So it has been, Crew's getting a little fussy here. We're doing our best. It has been a crazy transition, trying to do it all, trying to figure out where we need to be at the right time, at the right place. And Liz, you similarly have been with me every step of the way. Like I'm bantering these questions back and forth with you, trying to figure out where do we want to go as a family? Do we want to grow a bigger company?
We've talked a lot recently because we've kind of like tasted the good life of, you being able to work on the business, not necessarily in the business. And we're like, how far do we want to take this thing now? Like we've kind of gotten that first, I think your first crew out by themselves is like a Band-Aid. You just got to rip it off and that. Then everything after that seems a little bit not easier, but like easier to digest. Like you're not out there with the business in like a prideful way anymore. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
Like you're not the business. You're built. We all like pride ourselves in being the technician out there.
Yeah.
Like nobody can lay stripes like I can, and nobody can trim like I can. Nobody can flip edge like I can. And that's
like letting go and delegating has been a big. I'll say speak personally for myself. A big ego death. Like hiring Bethany was very difficult for me, not because Bethany isn't great and wonderful, but like letting go of those like those tasks that I would normally be doing. Like
your responsibilities.
My responsibilities, and a lot to do with the media business. I had to hand over because it was either that or like put my kids in daycare essentially.
Right.
And I didn't want to do that.
Let me ask you this, like, because who knows how long we have with a little teapot here. What was your biggest struggle with letting go? What's your biggest lesson learned? Like just to go right to the end of the story. What's your you were shooting every email for the social media side, a lot for the lawn care side, and you're still actively involved. But our roles are changing as we decide that we want to go to maybe a larger company.
Since I got started in the business with you, because you own the business prior to even meeting me, my role and what I've done has changed and evolved so much. Going back to what you were saying about it being fluid, like you really have to have like an open hand in business to grow. If you're clutching your business with both hands and you're not letting anybody in or anybody out, it's going to be very stagnant. And so part of being a business owner is maturing and realizing that you don't need to be the answer person for everything. You don't need to be that person that does it all.
How does that make you feel?
It's really difficult for me because that's where I was finding my identity for a long time, was like, we're business owners. Like, and just because I'm not involved as heavily as I was, or I'm in different capacities now, I guess, doesn't make me any less of a business owner. If anything, that's the whole idea. And like, Buy Back Your Time really, really did a number on my head with that.
Do you feel like you were a business owner or a business doer?
Business doer for sure.
Yeah, I think that could be a podcast title, is because that's what you were saying. Like we found so much pride in the doing and the being versus the owning and supplying jobs or something like that, And I don't know if people have asked me if I've struggled to not be in the field, and I said no, not at all. Like I can lay them down as good as anybody. I can stripe as good as anybody, mow as good as anybody. In fact, my guys do a fantastic job, and frankly, like you should be able to find people that do as good or better than you, and that's how you find a winner.
Right.
But I've never personally.
You're like screwed though. I mean, which way? Because before you're in, like, if you were in the field owner operator, you got comments. Who is this guy putting stuff on the internet? Like he's owner operator, doesn't know anything. And then next thing you know, we have a full time crew going out for almost 4 full time guys, and it's what does Brian know? He's not even laying stripes anymore.
All he does is make videos.
All he does is make videos. So like, what do you want? Like, what do you guys
now
freaking want?
Now the question is like, we have a decent sized little small family business like around town. Like people know it. It's a nice little business. We have a couple, 400 or 500 customers we've serviced probably over the years. I mean, maybe 1,000 at this point. I don't know. And now it's like the whole, who is this guy to be putting out content? I talked about this at LAL, but who is this guy to be telling the world how to run a small business? After all, he's a small business. But then if I decide to go to a $1, $2, $5, $10 million company, people are going to go, oh, well, that's just because
it's because of YouTube.
Yeah, it's because of YouTube, or because
all of the seed money is from YouTube, or mommy and dad.
We haven't got a lot of mommy and daddy, obviously, thankfully. but it's like I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. Either
you can't make people happy.
Yeah, like I grow a $3 million company.
Not that you do anything for people on the internet.
But then you already know it's gonna be like, well, that's because you're friends with Corey Ballard or Sam Gamble,
and it's just never.
That's because you have social media. Then you found a bunch of young talent and young guys, and I'm like.
Sure.
My God. So like we already know like the questions, they're not the questions, the criticisms will come. But I think Sam Gamble did a really good job at Launchpreneur Academy Live. He talked about working on versus in. That was his talk. And he talked about getting rid of core primary revenue generating activities. That's what you got to sub out first or get rid of course, and hire a replacement. You know, if you're doing anything, he said, a little inside tip if you guys weren't there, he said, anything you're doing 35 to 40 hours a week, that's a primary job that somebody else should be doing. So like if you're spending 35 hours a week on the mower, that's a good time to replace that yourself. If you're spending 35 hours bidding and selling and estimating, for example, that's a good time to hire a full-time sales guy. If you're doing 35, 40 hours a week in the office, it's probably a good time to hire a full-time person.
Yeah.
Right. So it was really, really interesting because we talk all the time about hiring the right person, then backfilling work, or getting the work and then backfilling right people.
We're like, we've been sitting down and talking. I'm looking at our goal board right behind Brian's computer, and a lot of the things on there, except for like maybe the the American Great Loop or whatever, like there's we need to take a lot of things off. And I'm not saying that like egotistically, but like we've been able to accomplish a lot of those dreams up there over the last 5 years.
Except for a snowmobile. We still got to get my snowmobile.
There's snowmobile up there.
I don't have 13 in the budget right now for a $10,000 for a budget for a snowmobile.
The main overarching theme in a lot of our conversations lately, every single day, multiple times a day, is like, what are we trying to accomplish with the business next? Because it's not like before it was, okay, well, this is happening or we're almost there, you know, in terms of like achieving a goal. Now we've kind of achieved the goal and it's like,
we got to reset the goal.
What? Yeah.
We've talked to quite a few people because a lot of folks, and I've in very, very candid conversations, people that we really respect and peers and friends and even people that we look to as mentors have said like, hey, you guys have got like, you got the car, you got the house, you got the land, you're having a beautiful family. Like you've checked off like the big couple things that most people are, you know, setting out to do in their early 20s, early 30s. What's next? And we're in that position right now.
And we're not saying that in like an egotistical, prideful way. Like I'm almost afraid at this point in life to like do the wrong thing because everything is
going well,
decently well right now.
Yeah, things are well. Things are good right now. But you know, at the same point, when you're idle or you're bored or you
that's
don't
when
reset,
you know you have to hit the gas because this is how people backslide, and I refuse to do that for our family.
So totally, like we cannot. You know, one of my favorite lines, and some of you guys have heard it 100 times, so forgive me. But for the new guy that, you know, this is episode 1. There's a statement out there. It says, "You never quite own success. You can only rent it, and that rent is due every day."
Ask me how many times Brian says this a week.
Every day, the day after Launchpreneur Academy Live,
are going to like. I don't know.
They're going to be programmed for success.
Yes.
They might hate me and resent me.
Like I can see them reciting verbatim a couple like Brianisms, and that's one of them. And
that's fine. And we do.
No,
we
I mean I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying if they're going to be like throwing up when you say this for them to like.
All right, Dad. Another lesson. Another lecture, Dad. But when they're 28 and if they're struggling for money, they can start realizing some of these core tenets out there, and they can start putting some things together for their own little puzzle piece of life. So working on the business versus in the business, we have ambition to potentially grow a little bit larger company. I don't know where that sweet spot could be. Could be $1 million, could be $3 million, could be $5 million, could be $10 million.
That's kind of what we're working through right now.
Those are the questions and the debates that we're having right now.
Because it's not just about money, right? It's like, how does our family want to live? Like, what do we want our kids' childhood to look like? Do we want them to be? Do we want to be present parents? Do we want to be present? Like, how does that work while also still staying married? Like, so we have a lot of things that we're. We have a lot of good people in our life that we can go to and ask like, hey, what did this season of your life look like? What would you do differently? Like, what would you change?
Well, here's a couple. Exactly. And not only that, we don't want it to be this egotistical approach of why we want to build a $10 million company.
We don't want to grow just to grow because there's no point in that.
I'm not doing that. Like I know people that are like, I just keep growing and they keep saying yes. And then they create a monster that eats them.
But why?
And we are treading lightly on that whole, future prospect. Couple things I wrote down really quick here because we got about 10 minutes left and I got to jump on somebody else's podcast list. But the margin this year is a little less for Brian's Law Maintenance. We have about a 16-17% margin versus 22 to 25%. I have not been in the field, so we're spending more on labor than ever before. New full-time guys, more part-time work to help those guys continuously get done. I could not get in the field this year. I literally told myself, do not do it. I cannot do it. It's not... Hey, a guy calls off, calls in, which we have very, very little of that. Our guys respect the hell out of us. We respect the hell out of them. They know to work as a unit. If somebody needs a day off for a dentist appointment, first off, we do 410s, and I say all doctor appointments, all crap, do it on Friday.
Mm-hmm. Or work amongst yourself on what day you guys are going to accomplish this, because the work's on you. That's been like the biggest
transition. The work is your job.
Is like... Brian used to come in and bail them out. Not that they needed it all the time, but like
when
it
rained
day or something like that, he would jump in and go and help them. And it was like
the following day.
it just, you can't do that because you can't rely on Brian if he's growing the business to be in the business.
I'm not your backup this year.
And so it was their first year of like, if it's going to be, it's up to me kind of a philosophy. And man, they killed it.
Yeah, I'm like,
man, they killed it.
It was, if you're working Friday, that's because of you. Mm-hmm. If you're working Saturday, that's on you. Not like you're not getting the job done.
Not that we're just like, it's not our, it's our business, obviously. Like
yeah,
but
it is. At the end of the day, if they're still mowing if they're mowing on Saturday at 6, that's because I want them to be, quote unquote,
right.
Extreme ownership. But I told Rob and I told Mark and I told Ryan, I said, I have too many other responsibilities here. The social business is growing a lot. I said, we're building our home. I said, we had to buy this camper to move. We had to plan LAL.
A crazy person.
Together in the trades. We had our second baby. There is so much stuff going on where I only have so much time in a day that I can't be into the field mowing grass.
Yeah.
Like, I will hire as many people as you guys need. The money's there, the revenue's there, the solid core business is there.
So I was thinking about this because we were talking about equipment that needs replaced, and we're like, oh man, this has gotten like a ton of wear on it, or like, hey, our profitability margin, or whatever, is lower this year. Like, I think most people would be like, oh dang, I'm excited. Like, if we have wear on equipment and it's breaking down because it's been used, hell yeah. Like, that's a good thing. I want to see that. That should be a like barometer of success, like in the business, is if your equipment's getting used and abused within reason. Like, that's a good thing, you guys. It's not a bad thing at all.
So you're excited about the $35,000 we're going to reinvest next spring on the mowers?
I mean,
I told Liz, so we need a Vertex 72,
or like the plow.
260s.
Like, we talked about this with the plow. The plow needs like what, $2,500 like refresh kind of.
Yep.
And it's
Rob's
because
plow.
it got
destroyed
used and abused last year. Like, it took a beating on. Like, we didn't get a whole lot of snow, but when we did, man, it was like.
Well, not only that, the amount of snow, the type of snow that we got, that was really the challenging part of the whole conversation. You know what I mean?
I know that I can trust our guys, and I can trust you that if equipment is getting broken down, it's because it's making us money.
Absolutely.
So I want to see that equipment broken down as much as possible.
Well, I don't.
Yeah, I know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. But just remember that when we got to drop $35,000 next spring, Rob's truck needs to get refreshed. Probably that's 20 racks to upgrade. We're probably going to sell off Thunder.
We've been talking a lot, like
the plow with it and the dump insert. I'm
going to be so sad to see Thunder go. Like, that truck, if you guys have been following us since we got that truck, was like life-changing for us. It changed everything for us.
And that truck still has 5-10 years in it.
It has a lot of life left, yeah.
But we're refreshing the brand.
Because we're talking about what do we want to do? Like, what do we want our crews to look like? And if we are moving to crews, then we are kind of scaling down on the type of vehicle that the crews will be having.
Rob will go from a Lariat chromed out truck to a XLT luxury package with the red and black color paint to match the new truck that we just bought. I'm debating taking the $10-15 hit on my truck to rebrand it for the same color, because now that package is available that I wanted on my nice, cool truck, but it's going to be cohesive with the brand. That's a totally extra credit thing. That'll probably be a 2025 thing. We have dump trucks that we're looking at, switch and goes that we're looking at. We are
evaluating everything.
Everything is a conversation right now. Like, well, how many conversations have we had in the last 2 weeks?
We haven't stopped having this conversation. Yeah.
Like, the excitement and the energy is lit.
We like came up for air after LAL, like all of our kind of quote unquote obligations for the year kind of over. Yeah. Except for snow. And like, you would think that we would take a vacation. And instead we're like, so what's the next day? Like, we're like,
I'm motivated, bro. Like, I'm inspired by Corey. Leroy Maines was incredible.
I want to go. I wish I could have gone with you to these shop tours, because some of the stuff we're talking about.
Well, I'm going to take you up to Sam Gembel. He's 30 minutes up the road. Yeah. You got to see Atlas Outdoor in person. I said, I love Sam. I've had a couple good 1 or 2 hour calls with Sam post event, just talking about life and mentoring and conversations. The dude's awesome. Local example of success here. Truby's zipping around. You want to pick him up? You got him. So less margin, but I've also been in the field only 5 days this year. So it was worth it for us to take a 7 to maybe 15, 18 grand hit on additional labor, to hire out all those little extras that I would have had to have been in the field. So I'm happy with that. I'm cool with that. By the way, like, I'm buying back my time. I told Liz, I said, if I was actually in the field every day, I could be generating another $500 to $1,200. So, it's been a year where I could have put in another 50 grand in revenue. We could have hit 400 grand.
We even talked about you taking out the open trailer just to go and do like aerations and overseeds and like maybe the planting and stuff this year, but we really didn't even have time for that.
No, I didn't even have, I had dozens of aerations in the spring and fall. I just told people we're not doing them this year. I said, I just don't have the time. Now, next year, like, I want to build building blocks of mows and snow crews, right? The auxiliary work I can do next year to supplement some income because I'm not going to be able to sell 5 days a week. I'm not going to be able to, I'm not hopping on any mowers to grow mow crews. So that auxiliary work I'm happy to do. I'm pruning. I can do that kind of stuff and still bring in another 20 to 50 grand in revenue next year for the company. But the goal is to not get in the field doing full-time 35, 40 plus hour a week work. So we took a little hit on margin. We still are cleaning up though. It's been a really good year. The bank account's swole. It's as swole as it was last year and then some. Snow is good. Everything is good. Like I'm actually very, very proud of a stable, solid business. Like payroll's taken care of, flat rate monthly snows, 21 commercials, 30, 40 residentials. Like things are solid right now.
I'm just going to speak for myself again that I'm really proud of like our capability to learn how to delegate. Like, I feel like that's something I've really worked hard on, like personally this year. I agree.
Like, you've had to struggle with that more than anything.
I think that's what it is. It's like delegating's not an issue. It's delegating without guilt.
Or feeling like you're being replaced.
Yeah.
Is it the ego death? Is it what is it?
It's still an ego death. Apparently my ego is so huge. It's taken a year to kill it. And it's still
only you can send out newsletters. Only you can do invoicing. Only you can.
Well, it's freed me up to like get involved in the business in other ways that I actually just thoroughly enjoy. Like I'm just doing things now because most of it I just really enjoy doing and I don't want to hand over.
Well, I'll tell you this: thinking on the business versus when you're in the business, you can't think.
No,
you cannot think about it.
So much more creative with the business this year than any other year before.
Let me say that again. If you're in the business all day long, quote unquote, as they say, you cannot think about it as much, you know? So, when you're removed from the actual work, you can start looking at like the macro picture about where do you want this thing to go. Let's do this really quick.
Yeah.
What do we got on the time?
We got 24 minutes.
Let's do this really quick. I think we're going to chop this up because I really want to do more of this podcast episode. I've got like 5 or 6 other things: days off, part-time helper, selling work, delegating tasks, better managing our time, different expectations, and then talking about the buy back your time book. There's some other stuff that I really want to break down.
You have a call in 2 minutes too. So.
But I was just going to say, I've got a call in 90 seconds. Crew's about to get fuzzy. He's ready for his nap. You want to do a part 2 with this?
Yeah.
Because I want to include you on the part 2 because Brian's Lawn Maintenance is a family-owned business. We're growing it together. Okay. And I'm really happy to have you part of this.
You're going to cry.
Am I going to cry? No. Why? Are you going to cry?
No.
I'm not. Yeah. That's what you do. You project. I really, really am excited about, you weren't really around for Brian's Lawn Maintenance 1.0 because that was just me. Mm-hmm. And then Brian's Lawn Maintenance 2.0, it was such a weird thing. Like we were dating, engaged, married. We had some kids, built a house, bought a car, social media. Like we haven't really grown the company together. And if there's a quote unquote Brian's Lawn Maintenance 3.0 that I'd hope that you'd be able to be a part of, it'd be that next wave as we take this thing from wherever we want right now, 300-400, to wherever we want to go, 3-4-5 million or whatever. Mm-hmm. Right. So these kind of conversations, I do want to include you on this because I think it'd be really helpful to get your mindset as we've navigated this conversation the last 6 to 12 months, not being in the field as much and really talking about the future of Brian's Lawn Maintenance. So you want to do a part 2?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, cool.
I would love that.
Let's do that. Let's cut it right here. I know we have a Friday show already in the queue. We got a great guest interview with Michael Deal, so make sure you guys stick around for that. Maybe we'll circle back on this conversation next week, Monday or next week, Wednesday. If you guys are new to the show, we'd have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday podcast. So this will be a part 1, and then look for part 2 here in maybe about a week, and we'll continue the conversation. And that's
my cue.
That's a raptor behind the door of Jurassic Park. All right. Let's keep the conversation going, talking about working in the business versus working on the business. We'll have a part 2 before you know it. Thanks for joining me on the show, babe.
Thanks for having me.
All right. You guys have a beautiful day. We'll catch up with you guys here on a part 2 soon enough.
Bye.
Installing traditional snow stakes is time-consuming, expensive, and downright dangerous. Traditional fiberglass stakes cost as much as double, take twice as long to install, not to mention fiberglass splinters. That's where Plow-Rite marking stakes come in. Our patented installation tool and carrying pack makes snow stake installation a breeze, installing up to 450 stakes an hour. Want the fastest and best snow stake system on the market? Look no further than Plow-Rite marking stakes. Our stakes are made of hollow polypropylene, which will not crack, break, or splinter like traditional fiberglass stakes. 3 size options, 26, 36, and 46 inches, and 5 standard colors: orange, green, blue, red, and hot pink. Want more visibility than our standard stakes? Look no further than our reflective stakes, which sport a 2-inch 3M reflective band that is the highest grade reflective material ever put on a snow stake. Truly let your stakes be seen. Visit plow-rite.com and order yours today. And make sure to use Brian's 10 to save 10% at checkout. The link is in the podcast description. And best of all, everything is 100% made in the USA. Before you turn off the podcast, there are two things that we believe you will be highly interested in. First, if you're looking to stay up to date with the latest trends and insights in the world of lawn care, then you'll want to subscribe to our free email newsletter. It shows up in your inbox 3 times a week and includes a Monday motivational to kick off your week, a Wednesday what's new to keep you informed, and a Friday weekly recap of all the content we put out. The second thing is we have just launched Lawntrepreneur Academy Link. Now you can be a part of an exclusive community that links you to those who can help you grow in your lawn care business. Joining Lawntrepreneur Link will give you the tools that you need to stay accountable, get real-time expert advice, and find belonging in a community of folks who are passionate about the lawn care industry just like you. Visit LawnTrepreneurAcademy.com to learn how Link membership gives you unique access to monthly hangouts, bidding hour calls, coaching calls, expert lessons, and more. Stay ahead of the curve and level up your business with a membership to the Lawntrepreneur Academy Link. Find an easy-to-use link in the podcast description.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.